Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are. Welcome to the Promise Enterprise File Sync and Share webinar. My name is Jason Pan. I'm the Senior Director for Product Marketing and Business Development. Let's quickly take a look at today's agenda. So what we're going to talk about today is a quick overview of the enterprise file sync and synchronization market. And then we'll do a brief introduction to the FileCruiser product, and then we'll dive into the technical details and the features of the product, and then finally we'll open up for some questions and answers following that. So what is the enterprise file sync and synchronization? Basically what this is a Dropbox-like solution, and this could be both on-premise or cloud-based. And what you could do is share files, documents, photos, videos, backups, and archives. It does provide additional support in terms of access for any type of mobile device, whether that's a tablet, your cell phone, or any type of client. It does provide a security around it, so it allows you to track and assign access to only individuals that you want to grant access to. It does provide administration and management portal, which allows the administrator to actually manage the file system. And finally, it does provide additional features like offline editing, which allows you to provide edits to your document or your files and then save them back to the file server. Today, let's take a look at some of the current limitations of the existing solutions out there in the market. One of the biggest complaints that we have seen is in terms of inadequate security. A lot of times, these cloud-based solutions does not provide enough security to protect your data. Another thing that we have seen quite often is the lack of enterprise features. So, for example, it does not have the ability for you to integrate with security access such as Active Directory or LDAP. And the third one is really to share files securely with other folks. Typically, we see a lot of people using mail or FTP, and both email and FTP systems have their limitations when it comes to the size of the file and also the ease of use when you want to share those files with the other individuals. And then finally, this is a common complaint, the lack of version control. From email to social media, a lot of documents get generated very rapidly, and what happens is when there's a new version, how do you keep track? And how do you keep updated with the existing version? So these are some of the common pain points. For example, email servers are constantly overloaded with large files that are attached, which will cause a lot of bandwidth and also storage capacity issues. Another one is the traditional FTP servers. A lot of times they can't handle large files across different sites or different geographic locations. And then when it comes to mobile workers or mobile users, a lot of them demand real-time file sharing capabilities and editing to ensure that they have the latest version when they're performing the edits. And as we mentioned earlier, document version is actually a key concern for a lot of these customers as well. So on-premise and scalable file sharing platform with an integrated enterprise security is definitely one of those key pain points that a lot of customers are looking for. And then the other thing that you should think about is a lot of these public cloud file sharing systems, they tend to come and go. These are some of the recent news and articles that list some of these public cloud guys that are no longer in business. For example, Nebula, Nirvanix. These are some of the more famous public cloud file sharing systems that came to light and then disappeared, without a trace. So what I'd like to do today is share with you a solution from Promise, and we call this the FileCruiser Appliance. It's basically an appliance that allows you to set up a on-premise file and synchronization share service, and allows you to have remote access from mobile devices, PC clients, anywhere that's connected to the network. I want to touch on a few key points about the FileCruiser product. The most important thing is the enterprise level security. We do provide a number of features such as remote wipe, data encryption, multiple authentication, and then in terms of management and reporting, we do have a single management portal. This is great for administrators who want to take control of all the reporting as well as the management. We look at the FileCruiser product, there's actually two different versions. The first one is what we call the VA2600. The VA2600 is basically an appliance. It's basically a server and a storage in a box. The target audience for the VA2600 is typically the small, medium-sized environments, the schools department, media entertainment department, and construction companies. Typically, we have less than 1,000 accounts and about less than 500 concurrent users. What you're looking at is on average of less than 64 terabytes of storage. For any customer requirements, or if your storage requirements is beyond the 64 terabyte, what you probably want to look at is our scale-out solution, which is called the VR2600. The benefit of the VR2600 is that you could actually scale out by adding additional compute nodes as well as storage nodes as you grow your requirement. And typical target customer for the VR2600 includes enterprise IT, universities, government institutions, and typically what we're looking at is above 10,000 accounts, and that's assuming that you load balance across the 4 servers. Each server itself supports up to about 1,000 concurrent users. Let's take a look at some of the technical features of the FileCruiser product. So on the VA2600, we do have 4 different versions. We could start out with a small team that's typically around 12 terabytes of storage, and then we could grow to a group type of environment where we provide 24 terabyte of access, and then could grow that to a departmental solution, which gives you about 48 terabytes. And finally, if you continue to grow that storage requirement, you could go up to 64 terabytes of storage. This is an example of the FileCruiser user portal. So this is what happens when you use a browser to access the FileCruiser system. As you can see, this looks very similar to some of the popular cloud storage systems out there. We also provide applications on your handheld devices and tablets, supporting both iOS as well as Android. On the PC as well as the Mac side, we do provide agents to allow you to synchronize the files in real time. And then if you have requirements for any type of e-learning or streaming media, we do provide support for you to view that from your laptop or from your mobile devices. And we support all the popular media formats out there. The other thing that FileCruiser provides is what we call team space. And this is great when it comes to project collaboration. A team space basically is managed by the team owner, and then the individual access rights can be managed by the team owner instead of having to reach out to administrator or IT manager. This is actually very good when you have projects where the project members actually come and go. For example, if I start a new project, I could actually assign different team members, but if at the end of the project, I could actually take away or remove those access rights to the individual project folders. The other feature of FileCruiser is our email integration. So it does allow you to send files by not attaching the actual file. Instead, what you could do is attach the link to that file. FileCruiser will actually auto-convert all the attached files into URLs before forwarding that email to another recipient. This, again, is very useful if you want to send out a lot of files to many individuals. Instead of sending out the individual files, all you're doing is just sending out the link to the file, therefore saving a lot of disk storage and also traffic on the network. I think we mentioned this earlier. One of the key advantages of FileCruiser is the access control. There's a couple things that we do. First of all, if you ever lose your device or your laptop or your cell phone, we do have a feature called the remote wipe, which could potentially remove all the files on that lost device. We do keep track of a complete user log, so we know exactly the behavior of the individual users. In terms of data encryption, we do provide file encryption when the file is being sent across the network. And optionally, you could actually embed two-factor authentication when it comes to authenticating to the server. Another advantage of FileCruiser is the ability to actually transfer the personal space. And by that, what we mean is, let's say employee A leaves the company. What happens is the administrator or the project leader could actually transfer all those files to a new employee or another individual in the company. We also provide APIs for simple customer integration. This is great if you have third-party applications that you would like to integrate with the FileCruiser. We do have APIs for both administrator and management, as well as for any type of client connection as well. Okay, and what I'd like to do now is to share with you an existing use case for FileCruiser. And this is actually based on a real scenario. So before this company, this is actually a design firm out of Taiwan. Before this company actually implemented FileCruiser, the only way for them to share files across multiple offices worldwide with their headquarters was to go through some type of VPN. And the issues with the VPN is, one, in terms of security as well as the access, it's just very slow, and then it's very difficult to actually keep track of different versions and files. After moving to a VA2600 FileCruiser solution, now what they could do is have a replicated file locally at their remote offices. And then all the local PCs, clients, as well as mobile devices would now be able to synchronize with the local file. This way, it saves them the networking capacity to reach out across the VPN back to their headquarters to access the files. So this is a typical example of how FileCruiser can be deployed in a lot of the remote offices that you have. The other benefit of FileCruiser is that you can actually integrate this with your existing NAS. And this way, you could back up data from the NAS to the FileCruiser. You're now allowed to access the data on your mobile devices through the FileCruiser server and use both the NAS and the FileCruiser together. And the way it works is you first would mount the Windows NAS volume to your laptop as a network volume, and then set this volume as the FileCruiser sync folder. Then FileCruiser agent will automatically sync all the data from the F drive to the FileCruiser server. Okay, so as you can see, these two are some of the use cases for FileCruiser. In terms of pricing and also the configuration, I encourage you to contact either your authorized Promise reseller or contact Promise, and then we could work with you to come up with the most optimized solution, whether that's a VR2600A, or if you prefer to use the scale out version, which is the VR2600R. So please visit us at www.promise.com, and then we thank you for attending this webinar.